At a time when the news cycle should be red hot to the point that Disney cannot stop with news coverage, they're suddenly cutting deeply into the staffers of ABC News, firing so many at a time when they thought they would be hiring perhaps. But that's not all. Disney now also going after the division in which their potential next CEO is running. And perhaps she's running it right into the ground. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, the place where entertainment is explained. We are here to keep you ahead of the culture curve, and we love doing so. As we get ready to dive into today's content, consider clicking the like button. You can also help support us by clicking on that link in the video description to Vacation Radio. All right, we've got Marvin the Movie Monster back with us today. Marvin, how are you?
Doing good, my friend. How are you doing? We're probably both doing a little bit better than people at ABC right now.
Probably doing better than the people at ABC, that is for sure. This is out of the New York Post. It says, ABC News, Good Morning America staffers brace for layoffs as Disney demands budget slashes. And this comes from, well, sources. It's from Alexandra Stigrad. And there's an interesting part of this that we need to bring out. We need to elucidate it, folks, because not spelled out in the article is the fact that this is bizarre. This is bizarre. And by the way, hello, Gina. And thank you, by the way, to Jay Drunk 3PO for getting Pablo Hidalgo so chatty over there on X. We'll leave that for another video for another day. But hello, Gina. Nice to see you there. She's kind of a big deal. This is bizarre that Disney is cutting into their news division so heavily because we are in the red hot season for news. This is when they should not be singing the blues. This is when this is big for them. They've got both the Olympics going on and they have the election cycle for a presidential election. And probably the most, what would you say, the most interest-drawing presidential election we have seen in, I don't know, a very long time, since 2008 maybe. So yeah, I'm amazed.
I was just about to say that it's unprecedented times right now. You'd think that like we'd be ramping up coverage.
Right, it's like firing your NFL commentators before the Super Bowl. It's weird.
Yeah, super weird.
Are we allowed to say weird? I'm not sure. Weird is a hot topic now.
Yeah.
All right, well let's read the article, and then I want your take on this, Marvin. ABC News staffers are bracing for major cuts as the Disney-owned network slashes budgets, with even those at top-rated Good Morning America on the chopping block, the Post has learned. The Mouse House has demanded that Good Morning America reduce its bottom line by a whopping $19 million, up from previous projections of $17 million before the end of Disney's fiscal year on September 30th. And that may have something to do with getting their expenditures down so that investors will like them a little better. Investors have seemingly not liked Disney lately. That's my own conjecture there. The expected layoffs come as Disney began bringing down the axe at its TV group on Wednesday, slashing 140 jobs at its networks that include NatGeo and Freeform, Bloomberg reported. Now, all of this seems to be somewhere in the domain of Dana Walden, who's expected to be the next CEO of the company. She's definitely the front runner. It's not absolute. There's been no announcement, but there are great suspicions that she's the next CEO. Marvin, why in the world do you think that they are cutting this kind of fat from the bone?
Well, I think what you're starting to see now is all the financial hardship and the bombs that they've experienced. I mean, they had a couple victories recently, Deadpool and Wolverine, Inside Out 2, big wins. But I think that we're starting to see the effect of years of box office bombs, of the parks division no longer carrying the company as far as profitability goes, with crowds being in the toilet and then begging annual pass holders to show up whenever they want. I think we're starting to see Disney having to tighten its belt more than it's ever had to do before. They're in trouble.
This feels like desperation, though, Marvin, because we're looking at the Variety article. We'll cover the television division in just a moment. But when you're cutting the news division at the time when the news is at its peak, that is just strange. And when you're cutting it this much, exceeding expectations, then it makes me wonder, how desperate is Disney to find any place they can, to get an extra quarter, an extra nickel, an extra dime to prove to investors that they're doing what they can to cut these losses. And it really is. It must be that they need to reduce these losses and do it so rapidly. I mean, this is amazing.
Well, I think it's also a lot of Disney Plus expenditures coming home to roost. You spent $180 million on a failed Star Wars show. Now all of a sudden we have to make this up to investors. We gave a lunatic $180 million to have a group therapy session in public. And now, we have to explain to our shareholders, oh no, we're being fiscally responsible. And so they're trying to find anywhere they can to cut any kind of fat off this company. And it is pure, putrid desperation. You're absolutely right on that.
Absolutely. And we'll come to that article in just a moment. But folks, if you take a look, the Disney stock, this is why they may be doing what they're doing. And we've been talking about this at great length. You all know it. We've covered this. The stock only rose seemingly because of the proxy battle that was happening, where there was some hope that Nelson Peltz might get on the board of directors. After that was no longer an option, the stock has declined steadily back down to where it was when he first started the proxy battle. If we take a look at the 5-year, you can see that Disney is actually right now at one of their lowest points in all of their past 5 years. And that's a very strange thing. Now, of course, the stock market is doing odd things in the past 48 hours. So we'll see how that goes with Disney as well as other stocks. No financial advice given here, of course. We may be, there's talk of recession. I'm not here to pronounce that in any way, but you could see the stock suffer greatly even again. If we go back, prior to Bob Iger wanting to return to the CEO spot of the company, this company was sitting up in the upper 100s, close to 200, and even tickled that number, crossing over the top of 200 at times, never closing at that level. But $197 was the stock price March 12, 2021, under Bob Chapek, former CEO of the Disney company. He was only there for about 6 to 8 months before Bob Iger wanted his job back. And when Bob Iger wanted his job back for political reasons, we took a nosedive. And so you're exactly right, Marvin. Now this company facing these headwinds that Iger seems to have generated himself with the bad decisions for streaming, the bad decisions for the parks, etc. Now there are sacrificial lambs happening, even in the divisions from whence Bob Iger came. This is out of Variety. It's by Rebecca Rubin. It says Disney lays off 140 employees in television division. Now remember, the television division is distinctly Dana Walden, and she is, we presume, to be the front runner for the next CEO spot. Disney was hit with layoffs on Wednesday, says this article, or 2% of its workforce were let go in the television division. No teams are being eliminated, but National Geographic, locally owned television stations, Freeform, as well as the network's marketing and publicity teams will primarily be affected by cuts. National Geographic will have the largest reduction in staff, with 60 employees, or about 13% of the team, being let go. And we need to note here that National Geographic has already taken devastating cuts in the past. And if you're someone out there listening who works for NatGeo, well, you're one of the few remaining. You know that. But that's not explicitly stated in this. Disney acquired the brand, best known for all things nature and history, as part of its $71 billion acquisition of 21st Century Fox in 2019. Now, I want to draw attention one more time to this. $71 billion is what they spent on acquiring 21st Century Fox. So it's no surprise, it's no shock that they're having to eliminate a lot, because Marvin, what did they get for that $71 billion? I don't understand what they've received for it.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
What else we got?
Fantastic Four, Avatar. I mean, nothing that's going to give them $71 billion anytime in the.
Let's clarify that. Let's clarify that as good as Avatar is, Avatar, they get the distribution rights, but James Cameron gets a huge chunk of the profits off of it. So they really don't benefit that much off of Avatar.
No. There's really not a lot in 20th Century Fox that they benefit from. To me, it always was like, wow, did they pay $71 billion to get the X-Men and the Fantastic Four back? Like, is that because at that time Marvel was cooking with gas, and we were losing Robert Downey Jr., losing Chris Evans. So maybe it's time to start, putting something else in there that people will love, like the X-Men, a proven franchise. Not worth $71 billion though.
Well, let's put that into perspective. If Deadpool and Wolverine makes $2 billion at the box office, which it won't, but it's doing exceedingly well, but we'll pump it up there. We'll say, what if it makes? All right, so it's a what if. If it makes $2 billion, it would make about $1 billion in profit, because Deadpool and Wolverine, we believe, needs $1 billion to cross into profitable threshold territory. Now, we think it will do that, but it was a huge gamble, huge risk, but it's going to do it. That said, if Deadpool and Wolverine hits $2 billion at the box office, you would need 71 of those to compensate yourself for purchasing 21st Century Fox. That is amazing, and that's not going to happen, of course. All right, here's what Bob Iger has said. So he's shared plans that they're going to pretty dramatically reduce spending on pay TV content, particularly content aimed at those traditional networks, after investing too much in streaming. In other words, the stuff that was doing okay in pay TV, it's doing okay. They're going to cut that because of the losses in streaming, where they're not doing okay, where we've covered to great extent here on this channel that their percentages are dropping in terms of market share. Disney is largely cannibalizing Hulu. So you're right, Marvin. Bob Iger, apparently, according to this article, has come out and said, here's where we're going to cut. It's not the place that is doing the bad, the hurt to us, but we're going to cut this anyway. It's like going to the doctor and saying, doctor, I've sliced my index finger. What should we do? And he says, well, we got to remove that pinky. It makes no sense.
Exactly. Now, and by slashing by slashing these other departments, they kind of have carte blanche almost to fail further with Disney Plus. Like, it just, we're going to keep making Agatha all alongs, and we're going to keep doing this.
Oh my God.
And we just got to find place in the budget for it. These hundreds of millions of dollars that we're spending on these Disney Plus series that just bomb spectacularly.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch a few divisions of Disney attempt to moderate themselves back into the mainstream middle, back to the sensible center where money can be made. And other divisions of Disney are so ideologically captured that I don't see what they can do to fix themselves. By the way, ABC News, one of those. ABC News is essentially an extension of a particular political party. It operates in such a way as to drive news narrative that doesn't always resemble the truth. And so, it's not lost upon me that ABC News, at the same time that they should be having their best year ever, is being cut dramatically. So not lost upon me. It's also not lost upon me that Disney wants to present a message and an ideal of conservation and environmentalism. And poor NatGeo, secretly, not many people talk about this, but NatGeo just being devastated by Disney ever since being purchased.
I know. And it's a shame because NatGeo is one of their, I think the properties with the most potential. There's so many great stories you could tell with NatGeo, real stories, educational stories. They should be a NatGeo Epcot, crossover here. Like, there's so much they could be doing with that brand that they're just not doing because they're more focused on, Star Wars, Marvel, the brands that they're running into the ground.
That's right. Well, why have real lions when you can have CGI Mufasas, right? That's the Disney plan. All right, folks. Well, we have come to the end of this video. Sorry to those who are affected by these layoffs. We take no joy in anyone ever losing their job, and we truly mean that. We wish everyone who loses their job in this layoff phase a very easy landing at a new location where you can do great things. Folks, you can also find great things over on Marvin the Movie Monsters channels here on YouTube. They're toony. They're wonderful. They're a little bit loony. No, that's a theme song somewhere else. Marvin, tell the folks out there where they can find you.
Sure. Tooningtown TV over on YouTube. It's our pop culture channel. It's our newer channel, but doing super, super well. We cover things like Star Wars, Marvel, Rings of Power. We're going to be covering that extensively. Song parodies, reviews, daily content.
Are you ready for that Galadriel? Are you ready for the Galadriel Sauron romance? You digging that?
I'm rubbing my hand as a content creator. I'm rubbing my hands together. As a Tolkien fan, I'm weeping. We've also got Tooningtown Wrestling, our pro wrestling channel where we do the headlock headlines, our weekly-ish, probably every other week at this point, scripted 20-minute TV show where we talk about the wrestling news. So check it out. We'd love to have you guys over there.
Fantastic. And folks, if you're not yet subscribed to Tooningtown TV and Tooningtown Wrestling, well, you need to get over there soon so that you can say you were part of that channel early on. Don't be one of the late arrivals. Folks, we'd also appreciate it if you're not a late arrival to click in that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, so waste not yours. Join a community dialogue. Again, the link for Vacation Radio is down below in the video description. It's an extra way that you can help us with our mission to bring original content to all of you. Folks, until we meet again, we will see you very soon. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Listen up, my brothers and sisters. You've been listening to Phils and Zoes with an agenda to destroy your brain cells for far too long. It's time to change your way of doing things. Hold up. TPP is the place to be. Covering the news so honestly. It's a team that's cool and tried and true. Ahead of the culture curve, they're trying to keep you. Jonas and Pro, they run the show, and they dragged in the bearded culture casino. You got Valiant and Lord and Fourth of Line. Wonderful people, yeah, they're alright. They got weird bringing in people like Floral, but made no mistake with Lorena Creole. Amelia and John, stuttering guitarist. Martin and Tawny and someone called CMS. Fat Steven makes a bunch of other graphics. Did I mention a partnership with Bending in the comics? Fat Sky is a guy and Doc Matt does the web stuff. There's probably some people I missed. I hope they're not telling you the news. That should be fun. With accurate info that's not been spun. You can figure it out as you will see. The TPP is the place to be.
Yeah, Wilton. That was actually pretty good, or white. But I think you might have forgotten Vash.
Well, he lost all his friends. But it was implied.